Hi guys, this is Dan. Putting strings on a Woodrow. I have a lot of customers ask me exactly how do you put strings on a Woodrow, and it's relatively simple. But what I'd like to do is do a demonstration so you'll know from the very beginning how we start and how we end putting on a set of strings. Okay, so let's go ahead and start. First of all, take your little ferrules out and you put them aside. Those little brass things where the strings go through. Now if you lose those, just send me a self-addressed stamped envelope and I'll put you some in the mail, no charge. So what you do is take your E string, and that's an E guitar string, and it's an 11 gauge. And once again, you can get strings from the woodrow.com for $5 a set. So what you do is take your string, feed it through the bottom of that hole and pull it all the way through, and then take it all the way up here to the head of it. Okay, the way you put the strings on, this is the first one, second, third, and fourth. So it goes counterclockwise. So here's the first one. What you do is take your string about 3 inches or 4 above that tuning rod. Okay, though when you do that, you cut it off. Now the next thing you do is you slip your ferrule down over your string and push it down into the hole, like this right here. Then the next thing, take your Woodrow in your hand like this. I'm left-handed, so you might have to do it backwards. Put it through the hole. And then you wind your string to the left of the tuning machine. So your string is actually going over it like that. Then you keep winding it with both hands until you get it where it's pretty tight. If you'll notice, what I'm doing is I'm pushing the string here and I'm taking my finger here to keep tension on it. Then when I do that, I tighten the string. Now I have a thing in my drill that I use to tighten the string up, but you probably don't, so I'll show you the way I do that by hand. So you keep tightening it up, and as you tighten it, you keep the stress on your string, because if you don't, it'll fly off and you'll have to start all over again. Okay, so I put it on my first fret. So then you don't put it really too tight at first, just snug enough to hold it. Okay, go to the next string. The next string is also an E string. You put it through the next hole, which you're going from the bottom up. Pull it up, and you're putting it on this tuning rod, and you take it up on it, and you mark about 3 or 4 inches. Then you cut that off. Then next, put your ferrule back on it. Push it down into the little hole and pick it up just like we did the first one. Put it through the string. And what I'll do is, and I'll show you a close-up of this, is I have about 1/4 of an inch sticking out. If you want to use more sticking out, I'll say on this one I'll lose more sticking out, and I'll show you what you do in that case. Okay, so I'll have about 1 inch sticking out. Then again, I'll wind it around it a couple times, how much ever I can. Okay, I can only get 2 turns of that one. And then again, I've got my finger on this crazy hold right here, and you'll develop your own technique of that, I'm sure. And then you tighten the string. And as you tighten it, your little weird holding mechanism of your other hand sort of slackens up and allows you to get it where it needs to be. Okay, there's that one. Okay, now I've got an excess of 1 inch. So what I do is I take my clippers and I cut that inch off snug. And you know, for a beginner, that might be the best way for you to do it, is just cut that off after you do it. Okay, next, go to our next string, and it's an E string also. Feed it through your little hole, 3rd hole from the bottom, pull it up. Now, since we've decided to leave 1 inch in it and then cut it off, in this case, let's leave about 5 inches up from your tuning rod, which will be this tuning rod here. So about 5 inches. Whack it off. Hold your Woodrow up, put it through the hole, and then, again, leave about 1 inch out, and then wind it over the top. Okay, now I have to switch hands. And you're just making it snug, just slowly tighten it up. And I'll show you this as a close-up too. I like the strings to go to the bottom of the tuning rod. That gives me a lot of pressure on my nut, so I get a consistently good sound. Okay, she's coming in. Alrighty, now we're going to go ahead and whack this little inch off here. Got it? Okay, now we're doing the bass string. It's the very top string. Feed it through. And it's the tuning machine right here on the bottom, I guess the bottom right. And so hold it up, and again about 5 inches, whack it off. And then put your ferrule on. Push it down in the hole. Pick your Woodrow up. Thread it through that little tuning rod hole again. And again, we're going to leave about 1 inch out. And then you loop it over the top. And then tighten it up. And then again, like I said, I like to push the string down as low as I can to get a really good sound. Now at this point, you're not trying to tune it up. You're just trying to get the strings on there relatively snug. Okay, so that one's pretty snug. And we'll whack it off. Okay, so now we've got our strings pretty good on here. I'm going to lower that one a little bit because it's a little bit high. And if you notice, what I did was I loosened it and then I pushed it down. Okay guys, I'm going to do a close-up on how to put the strings in a Woodrow. So put it through the bottom hole in the back. Put it all the way through. Put your ferrule down over your string. Push it down in the hole. And then cut the string off like I showed you earlier. In this case, we're going about 4 or 5 inches above this tuner because that's where we're putting the string in. Okay, put your string through this little hole. Put your string through that little hole. Leave about 1 inch out and then wind your string over it. Notice how I did that? I went over it this way because you want all the strings coming down on this side of your tuning machines. Okay, so you wind it over it once, wind it again, and do as much finger winding as you can. And up to a certain point, you'll have to twist the tuning machine. Okay, now I did it 3 times. I got my finger here to keep my string from coming up. Then I'm just slowly tightening this thing up until it gets snug. Okay, then you put it in the slot. If you'll notice, all the strings are in a particular nut slot. That's where they go. Okay, then once you get it on there snug, take your wire cutters and cut that stringing off and you're good to go. Let me cut that one off too. So, now that's a close-up on how you do the head and how you do the tail piece of a Woodrow. Thank you. Now the Woodrow, you don't have to change the strings on it awesome. I've seen people that have had their strings on 2 or 3 years. A lot of it depends on how you play it, kind of oils are on your hands. I probably change strings once a month, but I play a lot. Okay, so now all the strings are on. line them up in your little grooves on your nut. Then put your bridge on. And on your instrument, there was a little dot where your bridge came up. Just put your bridge right back over that little dot where it was, and then tune it up. And that's how you string a wood.